Six, make sure your phone is on vibrate.
Roxanne.
Yep.
Roxanne, Roxanne. Roxanne, Roxanne. Roxanne, Roxanne.
Good afternoon, y'all. You are listening to Roxanne Roxanne, and I am your hostess with the mostest, Roxanne. I got my partner in crime, Six. Give it up, give it up, give it up.
What's going on, y'all?
How is my Roxanator doing today?
I'm doing very well. Glad to be here, like always.
Blessed and highly favored. Today we have a great show as we discuss the laws of attraction and the power of thought. So stay tuned for R&R. But first, I want to give a special shout out to Mark LeBron and to DJ Steph Lover. Last night we had our first annual DTF Christmas party. Exactly. I had a super time, and I'm really digging all of my colleagues. It was like really turned up in here.
Good time.
Yes,
that barbecue chicken was extra special.
Oh,
thank you, Steph.
Yes,
thank you for the barbecue
mac
chicken.
and cheese. I think I had about 3 plates, but my stomach is in disagreement because I think I ate way too much, and the bottles and the drinks were pouring. I'm actually wearing the same outfit I wore last night, so if you see my pictures that I put up later, I'm looking like yesterday, but I did take a shower, FYI. So I want to raise our glasses to that, even though I don't have one because I'm trying to detox at this point, at this moment, but I'll drink to that. Also, I want to give a special shout out to D'Angelo.
Yes.
Someone's eyes just lit up. He's back, you guys. He's back. That was like a secret album or something? What?
Like 15 years in the making.
I'm trying to tell you.
He's been going for that long?
For that long. And
pretty much.
As long as he doesn't make any more videos in the buff, he's all right with me.
What's wrong with that?
Hey.
Okay, next chapter. Well, okay, I get that pause, but D'Angelo, feel free. You know what I mean? I'll drink to that. I'll drink to that. Now on to the segment which I call Roxanne's Rant. During this portion of the show, I like to vent a little. I realize that the older I get, the less tolerant I'm becoming, which we gotta change that. I got super powerful people that are gonna help me work on that. You know what I mean? I probably need therapy, even though, but you know what? This is my therapy. This is my outlet. I get to talk to y'all whether you want to hear it or not. I'm a rant. I'm going to rant. And let me tell you what I'm going to rant about. I find myself being quite annoyed because I realize some people really do not know how to shut the H up. Like, seriously, this is something that I've been dealing with a lot lately. I have to deal with the public every day at my daytime job. I have to listen to my children flapping their gums about school, girls, even though I don't want to know about the girls, but you know, tell mommy so we can resolve college, Christmas, dinner, toys, video games, haircuts. How am I like? How I'm a mean mommy? I get discussions about that occasionally as well. How I need to lose weight. My youngest son, he likes to embarrass me, and you know I had to get eye level with him one day. It was like, you don't say that. The gloves will come, but I'll work on it. I'll work on it.
Roxanne,
yes.
How many children do you have?
Three, but only one talks crazy like that. But anyway, my mind is now filled with talk overload, and I cannot and do not want to hear anything else. Like, seriously. Now here comes the chatterbox. You know, I already got all these things that I'm dealing with, and now here comes the chatterbox wanting to talk to me about everything. I have no downtime. I come in, if I try to use the bathroom, people want to talk to me. If I just want to digress, people want to talk to me. No, I don't want to talk about your yeast infection. Please don't tell me about that. No, I don't want to talk about your ingrown hairs. I don't want to talk about the cyst under your arm. I don't want to talk about nothing. I don't want to know about your husband urinating on the toilet seat.
You have to hear that
And
conversation.
you walking in with the lights off and sat down and sat in a puddle. I don't want to know about that. I don't care. You understand what I'm saying? That's to your mom. Don't be putting your husband on full blast. One of my
I run out of mental space. Like the brain is like
Brain
a computer,
overload.
and if you don't have space to even compute something. Sometimes like
I'm trying to think about my next move. I have 10 jobs, man. You understand what I'm saying? Let me just try to focus. Let me digress and stop bombarding me with the nonsense. And there's like, I feel like I don't even know how to tell them to get the hell out my face. But I would think that the look I give them, or the no look at all, I'll continue doing whatever I'm doing, but then they keep on going. Oh, I know you're busy, but... Right. So you want to just impose on me nonetheless, right? No matter what I'm doing or whatever the case may be. Like, come on, get out my face. I don't want anybody talking to me about, tell me about good things. You can tell me, I'll actually seriously, I'll take some time out of my busy schedule to hear about good things. And there's like so many things going on. I have these 3 black boys. Just yesterday, a cop was shot. 2 cops were shot, execution style. I'm here worried about how to teach my kids to be able to adapt in this world. And then you coming to me about an ingrown hair? Or you sitting in a puddle of urine? Like, please. And what about this? You know, there are times when, just out of formalities, I may say, hey, how are you doing? That hey, how are you doing is actually meant for you to keep it real light.
Hey, how you doing?
Minimalize it.
There are people who take that literally. Like, you know, hey, how you doing? You know, the correct answer is fine. And, you know, you keep going. But there's some people, you say, hey, how you doing? Well,
that opens up the doors to a whole bunch of...
You know.
For you, it's just an acknowledgement that the person is
that
there.
you're there.
Yes.
Right.
That you're there. But they're like, oh, great. Let me just karate kick this door wide on open and just bombard you with, you know, all this nonsense. I just really meant to say hi and bye.
Right.
That was it. But I'm sorry. I know this was lengthy and I digress.
You just have to get that off.
I had to.
I understand.
So if you're hearing my voice and I give you that look, please just...
There are some solutions, but
Please.
we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
You want it now?
Yeah, at least one and all.
Okay, it's going to sound like the simplest thing in the world, but if you have an office and it has a door, close it.
I don't have a door. I live in a cubicle.
No. Okay, you have a cubicle?
Yes.
You're going to make a sign.
Do not
Nice
disturb.
bit, not even do not disturb. I do not have time for small things. If it's really important, you can talk to me. But I'm busy right now.
And even when I'm not busy, I'm busy.
Yeah, no. For me, I learned the lesson of that when I was in the hospital. And you know, I don't know if you've ever been in the hospital for an extended period of time, but if you know, everybody comes in at 4 o'clock in the morning to take your blood. Everybody comes in to take your temperature, your blood pressure, and you can't sleep. You don't get to rest. They keep telling you to rest, but
how? Every time you're checking my vitals.
Exactly. So when I was in the hospital last year, or earlier this year, I said something to my doctors when they came around on rounds. I said, look, this is absurd. I said, I'm not even trying to be a diva here, but that's dumb.
Exactly.
And they said, right, because we're worried about you not getting enough sleep. I said, okay. Next thing I said, I would love a sign on my door, my room door.
Right.
And I was like I was just doing that.
Right.
Next morning, there is a sign on my door that says, do not disturb this patient from 10 o'clock at night until 6:30 in the morning.
Well, you know what? Closed mouths don't get fed.
Exactly.
So if you don't say anything,
right. That's all I'm saying. And there's nice ways and simple ways to do it. You don't have to be saying,
I struggle.
I know, exactly, because you want to
struggle with that.
You want to vent it all out and explain why you don't.
I read cues.
No,
and if I see your body language is saying one thing, guess what? Go. I'm falling back. Obviously, you're not in the mood.
Right.
You know, and you have colleagues in such that nature where you can see they don't even want to be here, but I'm like, look, dude, at this point, it's work related and you got to do your job. But just personally, like when you're trying to take a nap at your desk, which I often do, when I'm taking a nap at my desk, that means I'm trying to recharge. That means don't tap me and says, are you alive? Yes, I'm alive, and now you're killing me. You just ruined my sleep. But anyway, this portion of the show is called Ask Roxy. we now have, during this segment, we will have to, Six will read a question written by one of our listeners and offer some advice. For all advice questions, please email me at info@roxanneroxanne.rocks. Yep, I rocks, ROCKS. And remember, do as I say, not as I do. Six Starboard, what you got for me?
Well, today's question comes from one of our female listeners.
Yes.
And she says, I'm a divorced woman in my 30s with 2 kids. Since my divorce, I've been trying to get back on the dating scene, but it's been very uncomfortable for me. I feel like I've been with my ex-husband for so long that I've forgotten how to date. Sometimes I feel real corny and boring. It's hard for me to open up to new guys. I've been meeting some real nice guys too, but my dull demeanor I feel is a major turnoff. How do I get my groove back? I don't want to stay out of the loop for too long.
Go to Jamaica. No, just kidding. I kid. I usually get my. I used to get my groove back in Jamaica, but I'm a woman of virtue now.
My question to her is, little clarification. What does she want?
That's where it starts.
Yeah, that's where it starts.
Once you have a clear picture,
right,
then it's easier, right?
Right.
The basis of the law.
If she wants the same thing she just left, she's going to keep making that same mistake.
Basically.
If she decides that she wants something better, not just something different, then she's got to figure out what it is she really wants.
She's got some figuring out to do.
Exactly. She's got to get some clarification for herself, not about the rest of. And don't measure yourself by how you used to do what you used to do. You're not the same person anymore.
You're changed.
Yeah.
I want to say hello to the lady that wrote in, and I want to thank you for writing in. You and I are both the same age with almost the same amount of children. You have 2, I have 3. I was also divorced. It's quite difficult getting back out there on the dating scene because your husband was once the man who accompanied you everywhere. But now he's no longer there. You say that you are uncomfortable and how you sometimes feel corny and uncomfortable and all this. Guess what, hun? You're not ready. You need to give yourself more time as you get acclimated to this whole single life thing. You need to start by appreciating the sense of peace you now have, now that your ex-husband isn't in the picture anymore. Appreciate the fact that you don't have to wash his funky clothes, touch his cruddy socks that he left balled up in his shoes as you had the not so pleasurable task of unrolling them dirty things as you prep them for laundry, or having to hear him complain that the baked chicken you cooked didn't have any sauce. I guess that would be my problem. But or you don't make everything with sauce. You're trying to stay slim, gravy, that's where all the fat is at, or whatever the case may be. But you really need to appreciate your you time. In terms of dating, I would suggest that you try to reinvent yourself. Get your hair cut, or get a new weave and revamp your closet and get your sexy back. You have to start working on building your confidence, because if you're feeling insecure, guess what, mama? It will show. It will show. Get out with a group of friends. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a group of friends that are just one sex, like all your female friends. Go in a social dynamic where there's both women and men, so you can actually listen to their stories, because, baby, this is not just you. Everybody goes through it, whether they're not divorced or whatever the case may be, or was never married. Everybody has this problem about dating and stuff like that. Just give yourself some time and try to check out the social scenes and stuff like that. But just always remember that time heals all wounds. So don't expect for the new you to happen overnight. What you think?
Did she say how long she would be married?
Did she say?
I don't believe she said how long.
Okay, but they always tell you it takes you like a year for every year.
You were married? Really? Wow.
Or I take 6 months.
6 months
for every year, or that you were in the relationship.
Take some time.
You don't want to go back.
Jump back in there right away.
Right, you don't want to go backwards.
Because you're different.
You are a different human.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But you are different.
You have to be.
Exactly.
Because if you were saying you'd be in the same situation.
Yeah, you'll end up, what they call insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting
a different result.
Exactly.
Right.
It doesn't work like that. Roxanity.
Sanity.
Speaking of Roxanity, this portion of the show I have coined as Roxanity. During this segment, I would like to talk about things that I have found most interesting. I do not discriminate, so some of the topics can occur anywhere around the world. I'm worldly. You can also give all of Roxanne, you can also view all of Roxanity topics or in its entirety on my Facebook page, Roxanne Roxanne. You hear that? Check this out, y'all. Around the world, people of color have been using bleaching creams to lighten their skin shade. This is a practice that I find to be quite disturbing, and the saddest part is that some celebrities have indulged in this bleaching. Sammy Sosa and Vybz Kartel are two public figures known to do this. In fact, I think Sammy Sosa now looks like Harry Belafonte.
He looks crazy.
And Vybz Kartel.
He does.
He's from Transylvania. I know.
He got like a waxy coating.
Listen, the coating is bad. Let me just share this right quick before I proceed. I asked my 12-year-old, I said, hey, you ever had a nightmare before? He was like, no. And he was like, you know what, yes. And I'm like, when did you have a nightmare? He was like, Mommy, you remember you showed me that artist? I can't remember his name of his before, the one that doesn't like his skin color. And I'm like, who? And I'm like, oh, who? Vybz Kartel? He was like, yeah, when you showed me his after picture, I had a nightmare the same night. But any poor baby. But nonetheless, now there's a new trend that's going on, which is crazy. And this new trend is using bleach to dry and tighten up the vaginal walls. Women around the world in places like Indonesia and Zambia have been partaking in this dry sex practice, because that's what happens. It dries it out, of course, because they feel that the men will have more pleasure. These women also want to preserve their reputation as having a useful twat, if you will. Some women also feel that when they're involved with a man who is well endowed, their bodies will keep the form and width of their previous lover.
Wow.
Women have been using detergents, antiseptics like Dettol. I mean, we use Dettol. We're Jamaican, but I don't remember okay.
What's
and of
Dettol?
course, Dettol is an antiseptic. Usually you can use it to wash clothes. They'll just put like a teaspoon in your bath water, to clean your skin and stuff like that.
Sounds like an antibacterial or something.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You can use it to clean wounds and stuff like that, but now they're inserting it upstairs. Downstairs. Women have been using it, of course, bleach to keep their privates dry, but there are high risks and side effects that can occur, such as the contraction of HIV, because obviously when you're doing this and the guys are wearing condoms, there's no lubrication. Like, you mess with the overall well-being of your vaginal secretions, which will cause the condom to break. So you're trying to keep a dude, but yet Nonetheless, Buju B. Anybody heard the great news? I hope it's great news, or whatever the case may be. I hope I am not the only one who's elated. Y'all ready for this? Buju Banton might be released from prison.
Yeah, the Jamaican in her started coming out.
Yeah, Buju Banton might be released from prison. In 2009, Buju was arrested and charged with conspiracy to distribute 5 or more kilos of cocaine. He was sentenced to a minimum of 10 years in jail. He's in Miami. Gargamel, who's aka Buju Banton, that's what they call him, has maintained his innocence and stated that the United States government has entrapped him. Okay, well, let's just think about the entrapment part. Not that I'm trying to kick Buju down, but you were on the airplane allegedly talking to an informant, but that's not, I guess that's...
Well, he says he was just bragging, talking tough guy banter.
Bolstering.
He think that, somebody would say, well, let's,
Okay.
I don't know.
I hear that. Buju has appealed his case and is requesting that the court should release him earlier due to and based on a recent change in the federal drug sentencing guidelines. He's also asking to be turned over to immigration so that he can be deported.
He actually, I think he's the first Jamaican to ask to be deported. That's very, he doesn't work that way.
Good point there. Good point. Usually people go against their own, their R&R on their... I know peace, but I'm not going to share that right now. This ain't the show for that. Well, anyway, I hope they release him. I hope that this new rule, because they're saying that there's a possibility that this new guideline may not apply to him. But he had like 2 mistrials, did he not?
Yes, so far.
So we'll see what happens. I'll be keeping my eyes open for him, and I'm sure Tebby Jackson out in Louisiana will be quite thrilled, because even her husband knows that she loves Buju. Sony Pictures. What's going on, Sony?
It's the most...
What's going on?
It's like, it's almost like it sounds like a film script.
That's what we were saying. They get to finally live out the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Each day the plot will thicken.
Yeah, and it's also like, it's all convoluted also with the things that got released about the executives talking about Obama and
I gotta mention that as well.
It's it's just all of it's kind of wonderfully warped.
I'd say.
Whether the movie was any good or not, we'll never know.
Well,
Not because it's not coming out, but it's going to be judged by
Automatically.
virtue with all of this around.
Automatically.
You know?
Yeah.
And
Automatically.
then to say that you're going to send it off to, you're going to make the theater owners decide whether they're going to show it or not. Well, you know, they want their money just like everybody else.
Basically. And it
everything.
might make it even more so popular, but who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
But, and also, I think I heard somewhere that all of North Korea's people are like, you know, we don't want the movie to come out and everything, but we didn't do it.
Okay.
Like, we
don't want it, however, we're not
the
responsible.
hackers. We're not the hackers.
Right.
You know, we're really glad that you guys decided not to run the movie, but
Exactly.
it's not us.
It's not us. And not to mention the group that actually, the hackers are called the Guardians of Peace. Not only did the hackers steal newly released films, bootleggers hit me up, but I kid. But they also revealed emails between top staff. One email revealed that top execs discussing President Obama's taste in music. They made jokes by saying his favorite movies most likely were Django the Butler and 12 Years of Slave. They referred to Kevin Hart as a whore because he asked for more money to promote a film. Angelina Jolie was also not exempt. They referred to her as a minimally talented, spoiled brat. The part that is super hysterical is that Angelina Jolie bumped into Amy Pascal at an event this past Wednesday, and the look my girl gave that chick was ice cold. No one's email is safe, so be careful.
What you say?
Yep, I see they even said some things about Denzel now.
What did they say about
They
Denzel?
said that it's a mistake to cast him for a lead because black leads don't do well
for them.
overseas, despite the fact the movie
The
did
numbers,
great,
the movie made its numbers.
And now they're saying they're hiring the real life Olivia Pope
What?
to the woman who Olivia Pope is based on. To
do what?
Come in and fix
Come in and
this
mess
whole
with the
thing
president?
and-
Just kidding.
You know, I don't know.
What is her role going
She's
to
gonna
be?
come in and she's gonna fix this whole situation. I
It's
don't
another
know.
scandal, so she gets
It's
to fix
scandal.
it.
Yeah, scandal.
She's a fixer.
She's a fixer.
I'm sorry. Who's Olivia Pope?
No. There's a show called Scandal on that has Kerry Washington in the lead as a woman who fixes messed up situations.
And it's based on
And it's
real life
a real woman in D.C. who, when there's, you know.
I've heard a lot. I never watched
Yeah,
it.
me either.
Neither I. So, a trip to Cuba, anyone?
Yes, definitely.
You can't control yourself any longer.
Do the shimmy. I'm shimmying too much because my girls are moving around. We don't need that. Soon we might be able to travel to Cuba. According to Fox News, President Obama plans to normalize relations with Cuba. As we all know, the United States and Cuba have been at odds for over 50 years. Obama wants to reestablish diplomatic relations. He wants to possibly end the 50-year trade embargo, but of course, Congress has to vote on that, as well as open an embassy in Havana. An agreement was also made to release Cuban prisoners detained here in our country in exchange for U.S. political prisoners detained in Cuba. Just so you know, 3 of the Cuban prisoners were spies that are going to be released. In a sense, we should have known that this was going to happen. At Mandela's funeral last year, eyebrows were raised when Obama and Raul Castro shook hands. Question: if the U.S. has beef with the country, should the beef last forever?
No.
Second, Cuba is offering free medical school education for blacks and Latinos in underserved communities here in the United States. And they've been doing that overseas as well because my cousin is a doctor. Sarni, what's up? And she lives in Jamaica and she actually got her medical, she studied in Cuba. So, well, you know, Jamaica could go to Cuba. Second, well, lastly, I don't even, you know, I'm like really confused about the whole barter thing. But I'm also confused, like, what's going to happen with Assata Shakur? Because, like, now that we're bartering, are they going to barter for her to be extradited back here to the United States to face sentencing?
She's stuck in Cuba?
Yeah,
She left.
She left.
Yes.
She's been there for
Eons.
the 70s.
Right.
And now that they're saying they're going to open up the doors with Cuba, they want her to be extradited back to the U.S. to finish out her sentence.
So those 3 prisoners, those 3 Cuban prisoners that are here in the U.S., they're from the 70s too, right? That's nothing recent, right?
That's nothing. Is it? No, it's not. It's not recent. I think it might have been because they were actually out in Florida. I would say maybe in the 80s per se.
I met a Cuban spy. Really? I did. I was at a party.
I'm disconnecting and disassociating myself with 6 immediately. This will be the last time we speak.
I mean, this young lady at the party, she was a beautiful young lady. She's dancing with my friend, and I'm just, she's talking, and I'm like, your accent is strange. Where are you from? She's like, Cuba. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, what are you doing here? She's like, oh, I'm
spying.
I'm a refugee.
I'm just kidding.
But then as she's talking, she's like, yeah, I have a degree in nuclear science and this. And I'm like, wait, you're a nuclear scientist from Cuba? Beautiful young lady, looks like something out of a movie. You're a spy. You know what I mean?
So you made the assumption that she was a spy.
You have to. She didn't. You're a spy. You were sitting here to seduce some scientist nerd guy and get
to see what
secrets out of his mind.
What they're gonna do out in space next.
My ex-girlfriend was Cuban.
Was she a spy?
Nah.
Okay.
But she went to Cuba while we were dating, and they had to go to Canada, fly from Canada.
Yeah, you gotta
down to.
I had a lot of Cuban friends, as I've in my life, and I had a friend who was from Cuba. She and her husband and I think her father-in-law had to go to Spain from Cuba, and we're talking like in the early 70s.
Wow.
Or even part of the 60s. I mean, it might have been that far back. They had to go to Spain. They had to live in Spain for like 3-4 years
in order to
then immigrate to the United States.
Wow.
Gotcha.
So it's never been a simple process.
No.
And the idea of opening the doors right now, like you said, 50 years, the same people who were upset about this whole thing.
Right, they're still in position, right?
No. Majority of them are gone.
Right. That's what I was about to say. It's generational.
And yet it's, there are still the Cubans who believe that Castro is the devil incarnate and all those things. My little conspiracy theory is about the fact that I don't think he's still alive anymore, really.
Right.
He might not be.
I think it's, Raul is at the helm.
Right.
Supposedly Fidel put him there. But I'm like, for years, there have been all these thoughts about the fact that, is he really still alive? Are those figureheads we keep seeing in parades?
Right.
He says he's going to be at a baseball game and he's not
never
really
appears.
there. And, all these other things that have happened.
You never know.
And you just don't know anymore who's supposedly running that country. So at that point, if it's that lax, really?
Right.
Why not open it back up?
There's
a whole generation.
But it can't be under U.S. control.
That's what I'm not for.
It has to be independent.
No, I'm not saying it should be under a U.S. control. I'm saying that when I say open the doors, it means you start having
trading
back and forth 2 separate countries.
That's right.
If I want to go see how the average Cuban lives, I want to be able to say, I'm going to buy a ticket.
And I have to fly all around the world just to get there.
I want to just go there. What is it, 90 miles?
In fact, let me just mention this one thing. When I do go to Jamaica, say if I take Air Jamaica, of course Air Jamaica can fly using the Cuban airspace, but if I take American Airlines, I have to be diverted.
Right.
You know what I mean? What were you saying, Six?
My thing was, I just said I'm not for it because my sister was just there and she said there's no drug problems, they don't have all the prostitution, the crime, no obesity, and I'm like, getting in bed with America, next thing they'll have a McDonald's down there, Walmart.
Except then, wait, you're not giving the Cuban people enough credit.
To be strong
for
enough
them to say
no.
All right, we may need an influx of money, but we're going to pick what kind of money we want.
If it's American,
you have to understand that they had all of that before.
Right.
When they had Baptista and he was running things before Fidel took over, it was a very corrupt country.
Gotcha.
And it was basically run by the mob.
Right.
From the U.S.
No different than here.
So my point is, maybe not all those same people are in place, but they taught their descendants, don't go this way.
Right.
This is not how this country, this is still not the way we want this country to be. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination down there. There are good things to be said about any country we go to, and there are bad things we say about any country we go to.
That is true.
There are people who still want to leave Cuba.
That is true.
They don't want to stay there. They have their families here. That's one reason they don't want to stay there. But you can't, I think that people do learn from their past,
Yeah.
And I think a lot of,
hopefully,
I think a lot of people will put that in place.
No, but the American attitude is everybody's better off American.
I agree.
Yeah, well, let's see how this pans out.
For
sure. Now, this particular portion, we're moving into, let me hear my music.
The round.
Yes. Round and round. You are now listening to Roxannes Roundtable, R&R.
Music.
Thank you. Today's topic is, who would have thunk it? During this show, we will discuss the power of the mind and the laws of attraction. Are you pushing the universe to work against you? Have you spoken positive or perhaps negative things into existence? Today I have with me Levant Bracey, a life coach and motivational speaker, along with Michelle Hurst, an actress best known for her role as Miss Claudette in Orange is the New Black. Hello all, how are you doing today? And thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Bravo. Yes, well, always a pleasure, always a pleasure. Well, and Merry Christmas. I said, I don't want to leave the show without saying that, but I have laws of attraction is something that's always intrigued me. I mean, I think I know who I am. Every day is a learning process. I realize what I tolerate more. I'm getting older and I'm doing things differently, although I will be 25 for the rest of my life.
That's right.
And that's also a part of the laws of attraction, is it not? If you think that you're going to be youthful, you're going to do things, you're going to work towards being youthful, and guess what? I'm going to be youthful.
It all starts from the inside and works its way out.
Ram. We have all heard the term, be careful of what you wish for, or power of the tongue. Ram. How important are spoken words? I'll start with you.
But, okay, as you said, you're going to be 25. You're putting that out there. That's how I look at it. But a lot of times what we want, or what we think we want, is not what we really want. So if you're going to put out there, I said this to you before, if you're going to I want to make a lot of money, okay, but what does that include? Does that include? Does that mean you're going to work your butt off forever to make that lot of money, and once you maybe have what you think of as a lot of money,
right, $1,000.
What are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
Have you ever been with a little kid, and if they have a piggy bank and they drop all the money out of the piggy bank,
they're rich.
They think it's the best thing.
They're rich.
And they're right, because to them it's wonderful. It's the most magnificent thing.
Right.
They're thinking, I have it, but they're also thinking, what can I do with it?
Exactly.
I can get 15 pieces of bubble gum. I can get a big giant lollipop, anything like that, because it's immediate for them, because that's how kids are. But as you grow up, you start defining what it is you really think you want. But again, this goes back to what we were saying about the lady about going out, and she needed to clarify what it is she wants.
Right.
Who is she going to be? What kind of life does she want to have for herself? To me, a lot of the laws of attraction is about finding out who you are, what you want. You can speak it out there. It's not a magical thing of okay, I want to make a lot of money, and then sit back on your butt and do nothing about it. You gotta figure out, okay, if I want this money, what do I want to do with this money?
Right.
How is this money going to change who I am?
That's right. You have to have clear, definite purpose.
Exactly. And you have to, and a lot of people think they do this, they know themselves. Oh no. You got to sit down and say, okay, who am I? Who is the real me? What am I about? What is my purpose here? What am I going to do with this wonderful gift called life?
Right.
Last December, I was in a horrific car accident.
Yes.
Sorry to hear that.
And there was a point where, for a couple of weeks there, when people just didn't know if I was still going to be here. Plain and simple.
Right.
I was in a coma and fast asleep, so I missed most of all of that. But when I finally came back, as they say, and I woke up and everything, I realized that I didn't remember anything about the accident. I don't remember even about the limbo of the accident. The only thing I know is that I can't go backwards.
Can I?
I have to go forward. There's no choice. It's not like I consciously said, oh, I'm going to go forward. It was like, I don't have a choice. That's the only way to go.
Right.
Okay? In doing that, the simplest thing, the step-by-step, literally and figuratively, of what it is I had to go toward is how I lived my life once I was in rehabilitation
Right,
and all that
moving
sort of thing.
forward.
So literally, the step of, I'm going to get out, I'm going to learn to move my body out of my hospital bed into a wheelchair. Which you say, okay, that's no big deal. Oh, yes, it is.
Oh,
it
yeah,
is.
it is.
And
Okay.
those little things we take for granted
Exactly.
every single day.
And literally, all of the rest of this year, up and literally right to this moment, is about me still recovering and healing. And yes,
And my lady walked into this room, y'all. So y'all heard that, the struggle or trying to get yourself to get out of your bed to get into a wheelchair. She walked into us, so we're glad.
yeah, so it's like you have to, in
Definitely.
a sense, know who you are to say, okay, this is how I'm going to keep moving forward. This is
Gotcha.
how I'm going to attain what I want. And most of the time, as much as we might think it's the big things that we want, it's not.
Little things make me happy.
It's like you want a family. Well, either you already have one by virtue of your parentage, your aunts, your aunties, your uncles, your kids.
Right.
You might already have all that. But if you don't, it doesn't mean, okay, you want to just sit down and have babies either.
Right.
The connotation, the meaning of a family has 8 million definitions.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. It's quite broad.
I don't have any children.
Okay.
And yet, all the kids that I used to read to...
I'll bring it to you by later.
Okay.
Okay.
I used to do story time at my local bookstore in Bed-Stuy.
Nice.
Okay. And I would have sometimes 25 kids, not just the parents, but 25 kids under the age of 3
Oh, must be nice.
in a room. And people would, I say, I don't have any kids. And then people would say,
Hard to
yes,
tell.
you do.
Yes, you do.
You have all these kids because they listen to you. They understand what you're saying. They like you. They amuse you. And I thought back on it one day. I was like, yeah, I do have kids.
Yes,
I
you
have
do.
those people in my life. So it can have all kinds of definitions. I know, excuse me, we all know people who are gay and have 5 kids. Hello. we know all kinds of connotations of family.
Right.
So again, know what that means.
Know what it means.
Or in your life, discover what that means. Because it may show up and you go, no, that's not what I want.
And try to shun it.
But it may be what you need.
And
so,
exactly.
I don't want to hog the conversation.
Levant.
Yes.
Let me ask. Well, what is your take on power of the tongue and how important are spoken words?
Well, it all starts with a thought. It all starts with a thought.
Gotcha.
Your thoughts shape your actions, and your actions are what attract the different results we want. So basically, when I talk about the law of attraction, I put it in a metaphor like we're magnets, and the stronger your thoughts, the stronger the magnetic pull. The more focus, what's the word I'm looking for? The more focus and the more focus you put on something, it determines the
Like the drive, because there's power
speed
behind
of-
that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if you're focused, first, of course, it comes with a thought.
Right.
I plan on whatever it is, like I want such and such, and then we have to actually put in work, do we not?
But
Can we just, we've thought, the thought processing is there, and then we've spewed it out into the universe, but we can't just stop there, can we?
No. See, it's a
bigger than that?
process. It's
Gotcha.
a lot bigger than that. It's
That's
a
right.
lot of layers because you have to, at some point, begin to train yourself to stop. As human beings, we always look at the downside.
Right.
Hey, I want to do a radio show.
Living in fear.
And so what most people come to you and say is, Roxanne, before you do this, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this. So they are burdening you down with fear, insecurity, doubt about yourself.
Insecurity.
So you come into a situation with the fears and doubts. So you're attracting situations that are going to help you. It's a self-prophecy. By what you're saying and what you're doing, you are basically pulling those experiences into your life unknowingly. You're saying, I want a radio show.
Right.
But underneath, you're still dealing with a lot of fear, insecurity, and
It's scary out there.
Right. So, in using the law of attraction for the past 3 years,
Right.
I've been on this trail for 3 years. And the biggest part to me was retraining my brain to stop always thinking negative, putting all that energy into positive thought, because people don't believe that you can walk around happy, but you can. People tell me, no, there are definitely
Well, you're not rich
situations.
and you don't drive a fancy car. Does that determine happiness?
Like Ms. Hurst said, no. There's so much more to this.
It's deeper than rap.
It's a lot deeper.
I'm going to be honest. I'm a bit of a skeptic.
Oh, yeah.
And there are two reasons why.
Why?
The first one is Karen Torres.
The girl in school.
Yes, and every day I
You don't know who Karen Torres
thought about
is.
Karen Torres.
I'm gonna call your girl
all day and was like, oh man, I love Karen Torres. She's gonna be my girl one day.
Right.
It just never happened.
But it did, Six. It did. I will tell you it did. You put your focus on Karen Torres, and I guarantee you an opportunity arose, but you just didn't take it.
Exactly.
What about the lotto?
The
lotto.
What about the lotto?
I buy that lotto
I've
ticket.
got a funny story about that as well.
Once I buy the ticket and I see how much the earnings are, I calculate how much I'm going to lose after taxes, and my mind starts working the rest of it. And then Friday comes, Wednesday comes,
He rips up his ticket.
and it's like, oh, so I'm like, that's what makes me skeptical in a sense.
Six, name one thing that you've ever done in your life on the first try and got it 100% right.
Real.
So even with the lottery, it's a process.
We'll talk about that.
If you only grab a ticket once a year, you're not in the process of winning. You got to be out there figuring numbers, working the odds, all that. Just like anybody who bets on football or sports.
But what I was going to say is like you are defining your desire in terms of Karen Torres, and as well as the lottery ticket. The definition of what you consider to be success or what you consider to make you happy. You're, by virtue sometimes of you not getting what you want, it's teaching you that maybe what you want is not what you need.
That's right.
Boom shakalaka. Let me share this story with you guys and gal. I usually get this notification, like emails from, I don't know if I should say his name, well, he's Aiden Powers. So he talks about different numbers and just, laws of attraction and things of that nature, and like manifestation of, positive thoughts and vibration and energy. There was this one particular story he mentioned that this one man would go to this one bodega and purchase his lottery tickets. He won about 4 or 5 times. Do you know that, the establishment was ran by like an Indian man. When he came back in one day to put his numbers in, the guy practically closed the door and pulled out a gun on him. He wanted to know, why is it that you keep on hitting those numbers here at my store? He was under the impression, the store owner, he was under the impression that the man, the customer, was doing some type of witchery or some type of witchcraft or something of that nature. And not only, of course, the man was scared for his life, but he's like, look, everything, I'm not going to go elsewhere. Why would I go elsewhere when my luck, or whatever the case may be, occurs here, and it has occurred here numerous times?
Right.
You know what I mean? So the store owner was like, his mind was boggled. He just could not get it. But there are, I guess this will lead to a question, there are certain people that are in tune with certain numbers where they're able, I guess the frequency and all that great stuff, where they're able to hit. Is that an actual thing?
Now, just through, like I said, process. If you do something enough, you're going to get the niche for it. Like sports betting. I had a buddy of mine who lost like maybe 100 times in a row. But through those losses, like
he got better.
He got better, and now he wins like 3-4 times in a row, loses twice. He's just, it's
about learning things. I swear to God, that's what it is.
Right.
It's about when you do something, you don't just do it and dump it. Whatever the response you get, you have to pay attention to that. You have to listen to what you're going to learn from that particular
Use
instance.
that third eye.
You weren't supposed to be with Karen Torres. I'm just telling you.
I'm sure of that.
Okay. Did you learn that lesson?
I learned that lesson. I'm very positive of that. Yes.
The universe was trying to tell you.
It was trying to tell you
It
something.
was trying to tell you no.
The reason why I know Karen Torres is because that's the first story Six shared with me when I told him about my love for the law of attraction. He was like, LeVon, that doesn't work. When I was in school, there were plenty of girls that I had.
So you see how earlier you mentioned, like with even doing the radio thing, you're gonna have someone that comes to you with some type of negative whatever. He was the one that was bringing that negative information to you about your love.
I don't want to pick on you about Karen Torres, but the deal is, what was it about Karen Torres that you liked?
She had jet black hair.
Let him
I remind my business.
She was real. She was pretty. She was pretty.
And what grade was this?
8th grade.
Okay, yeah, that's when you're pubing out.
That's
so
right.
yeah, that's what I call it. It's like one minute you're sticking your chest out, and the next minute you're like, Mom,
sappy,
like that.
That's right.
But when you're in that zone, I mean, I almost would forgive you for loving Karen Torres because it's like you love everybody. Come on,
Yeah.
you know, it's a girl and it has boobs. Hello.
Hey.
She did have big boobs.
Yeah, hello. And you know, maybe she smiled at you every now and then, or maybe she ignored you totally.
Which one was it?
Ignored.
Okay.
The latter.
She's going through whatever she's going through at that age, and so are you. And so there's a lot of stuff it has nothing to do with. I think a lot of times when people don't get something, they think something's wrong, or that there's a negative attached to it. And I say it's time for you to learn from it, as opposed to
That's right.
like, oh, I'm a mess. She didn't like me because I was short, tall, fat, skinny. My skin was breaking out. My skin wasn't good enough. I couldn't grow a beard. Whatever reasons or rationales you make for yourself.
Right.
The fears.
The fears. And I say, not that you shouldn't have a few of those fears, just a few. Makes you human. But
right.
if you are suddenly go, well, you know, why do I like this girl? Well, I like this, I like that. Well, there's bound to be somebody else out there that has those same things.
Yes.
So maybe she's not the one for me. Nothing wrong with her, nothing wrong with me. It's just not this situation.
Right,
I will now
gotcha.
go look, and what did I learn? I learned that I don't like girls who ignore me.
Yeah, that is true.
In a nutshell, right?
I think that's really true.
I think there's a lot of that, and the lottery ticket, I mean, you know, that's just fortune. Literally, go to fortune, any way you look at it. It's about the odds of things. I don't think you can predict that or anything like. The deal is, why do you want the lottery ticket to hit? You want the money. What do you want to do with the money? It goes back to what we were saying before. How is this going to affect my life? What is it I really want to do with that money?
Right.
Yeah.
Like people ask for $1 million, but don't have a checking account to cash it.
Thank you.
That's not going to come.
Oh, exactly.
This is how the thing works. Your thoughts produce actions. Your actions get the result. You know, if you are broke, destitute, your body language shows that.
Right, that is true.
Now, if you're confident, you walk in and you're talking to people and you're dealing with people a certain way, they vibe off that.
Right.
So
you never know who the universe might put in your
of the law of
path.
attraction. It's just thought.
Is prayer a great way to become aligned with the universe?
Yes.
If so, is there a specific prayer? The reason why I'm asking is because I have no shame to ask God for money along with other things. Asking, you shall receive, right?
That's exactly correct.
Okay, so I just want to make sure. I remember we were doing a pool around the office, and I was like, I'm going to pray on it. And someone looked at me, one of the church folks was like,
But you
don't you ever pray about money? God don't like when you ask about money. And I'm like, huh?
It's what you want to use the money for.
And you have to give it time. Everybody wants things like that.
Instant immediate gratification.
See, there's a reason why.
I like immediate gratification.
So there's a reason why God put brakes on this. Because we change our minds so much. I went from a BMW to a Passat to a this to a that. 1 week I'm walking down the street, I want a BMW.
Right.
Next week, you know what? Forget the BMW. So if I got everything instantly, I have like 6 cars outside.
And you can't pay for any of them.
We were all born with a purpose. Some people haven't deciphered what theirs is as of yet. How important is it for us to know, and is that a circumstantial thing based on each individual? So we were discussing, but I'll just give a brief synopsis. Purpose, and can it change? One moment when I got out of college, I was like, I already know how this is going to be. I know what my purpose is. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be this, and I'm going to rise to an assistant director. Then I'm going to become a director, but things didn't happen that way. You know what I mean? But I'm like, oh gosh, I'm stuck not knowing what my purpose is again. how do we determine what our purpose is?
When you when you were born, you got here. You lived in a world that was defined by your parents,
Right.
or whoever it was that was bringing you up. You didn't know who you were yet, because you
Right.
hadn't grown enough to get that personality, develop what your likes and dislikes in the world. So, I think when you finally are old enough to, and have been exposed to enough things in the world, that is how you determine what you're going to do. Now, like I said before, everything's a lesson. You might say, okay, this is my purpose. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take these steps. I'm going to be the assistant director. I'm going to be the next director. You might get there and suddenly go, I don't feel really good about
don't know
this.
if I like this anymore.
I don't know.
So it can therefore change.
Of course it has to.
Change is imminent, huh?
It's like, excuse me,
As you
pardon
grow.
my coarseness. It's like you wearing diapers.
Right.
You shit in the sorry. You do something in the diaper, and then you have to change it
Gotcha.
to the next diaper, and you walk around in that, and you get a little older, you can hold your bowels a little bit more.
Right.
You don't, do that. It doesn't happen so frequently, so insistently.
Right.
And you grow, you learn about yourself, you figure out who it is that's walking around in this diaper, and you go, okay, I want some pants. You dress
Right.
yourself, you put yourself together in a way, and you figure out. And it's ongoing. Everybody who thinks they know automatically what it is and who they are and what they want to do in life.
And that's it.
I'm old now. I'm older. Let's put it that way.
Older, right,
I've seen enough
older.
in my life. So when I have young actors come to me and they say, look, so how did you get this part? I'm like, I went to an audition.
Right.
I did what they asked me to do, and then I left. And then they called me back for a call back, and I did it again. And sometimes I did that 3 and 4 times. Sometimes I did it once, and they said, yes, you have the job. Okay? Nothing's automatic. There's no formula that says you're going to get this job.
Right.
That you're going to know exactly what. I've not had certain jobs, and I've learned to let things roll off my back, thank you, because they're not the end of the world if I don't get them.
I just healed, but we don't know that.
Right. But I've had my moments too of where I really wanted this part, and I didn't get it, and I went around and slammed all the cabinets in my apartment and for about 5-10 minutes, and that's done. That's over.
Right.
It didn't define me.
Didn't define you.
I re-examined it for 10 minutes, had my little hissy fit, and went on.
And healed.
And healed, because you have to. That's the thing. Every time something happens to you in your life, I believe, you are learning from that. And as you learn about yourself.
More.
You may learn outward, external information, but you also learn about yourself.
What do you have to add, Levant?
Yeah, I like to add that a lot of it comes from our parents.
Oh yeah.
Because as a child, you're a dreamer. You might say, I want to be an astronaut, a fireman, and a nurse.
Right.
But your parents will come to you and be like, no, what you need to do is get a real job. And when I was a
Clean
kid,
these streets.
Yeah, when I was a kid, a good job meant
Working for the city.
or the federal government. So you might want to be a painter, but you're like, no. Based on all the information I got from my parents, teachers, and everybody, they say I have to work a 9 to 5. So you go through life in the beginning.
So no music business for you, 'cause
Right.
that's not a real job.
Oh wow!
They love saying that, don't
right?
they?
Exactly. And you might have been Beyonce, but because of the information that you got, you just put that in the back of your mind. But at some point, it'll come back up. If that's truly your purpose, it'll keep resurfacing. For example, me and Six. For some reason, this man keeps getting thrust into my life.
Pause.
I met him. Now listen, I met him back in 2001. We separated. He goes in the military, whatever. 2009, 2010, here we are again. Separate again. Come back together. Separate again. 2 years later, here we are again. So that
You guys were meant to be.
right. Something. We're meant to do something, or we wouldn't just keep. At all the people I know, for some reason, Six keeps
Resurfacing. Can't get rid of all 6.
No, but those are the things you. No, but seriously, the point I think you're making is, those are the things you have to pay attention to.
You have to.
Exactly.
You have to.
But
The universe is trying to tell me something.
No, but not to mention, okay, when you have a repeated occurrence of something, I mean, come on, there are certain things, especially when you're not present, that God or the universe will push it in your face briefly. And you may overlook it, but something that's repeated, like, you cannot ignore it. But I realize our time is, as always, I need a 2-hour show. It's almost that time, but I've got to ask one final question, or pretty much a statement and a question. Everyone is doing this new 40-day challenge where they're resetting the body. You know, they want to try to purge all of the toxic things, you know, the cigarettes, the liquor, in my case, the food, the dumplings, the yams, which I have this week, and the yam. Okay, but how do we reset our minds?
I would say meditation. I use it. My mind was all over the place. I wasn't attracting things I wanted. I started listening to different seminars, reading different things, of just getting different people's opinions. And not everybody, the majority of people who successfully use the law of attraction says meditation was the cornerstone that set everything in a different path. They went from just using the theory of the law into 20 minutes of sitting in complete stillness, getting inside your head is what, you know.
It's about clarifying for yourself what you want, how you view the world.
Right.
And it has to be about you as an individual. See, a lot of people who are doing all these challenges and stuff, they're doing because everybody else is doing it.
Following the fads.
No, you know, that
do it for you, buddy.
It has to be what you want. And, you know, if it's about the weight, then you have to know who you are, what's going on with your body, medically and physiologically, and say, okay, I really can't eat ice cream anymore. Or, you know, and not to deprive yourself, but simply to say, in order for me to be healthy, I can't expose myself to those things. But also know that if you do, because every so often we all have to have our little
luxuriate.
You know that you know what's going to come from it.
Right.
And accept that you're doing it knowing what's going to come from it. I agree with you about the meditation. I think, and a lot of people have a sense, they don't know what that really means. Right. You know, they're just sitting there and they think it's just sitting there and being quiet.
Right.
It is listening, again, to what's going through your head and not judging it.
That's right. That's important. No judgment.
You can't judge yourself.
No, you have to be comfortable with you.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And when things float by, you acknowledge that they're there, and then you let it go and get back to your breathing or whatever you're using to keep yourself at a calm level.
Right.
And then something, you know, answers come that way. Reminders come up that way. You were talking about things that keep popping up, symbols that keep showing up in your life. You see it, you acknowledge it, you see it, and then you, maybe when your meditation period is over, you go, okay, I have to write this down.
Write this down.
Yes. I wasn't paying attention to that thing before, and now I see I must.
Right.
And everything. I think a lot of it is about you. It's not selfish to concentrate on yourself as an individual if you're planning on knowing yourself.
Right.
If you say, I'm doing this to know myself, as opposed to, well, I need to take time because it's me and I'm the most important. No. It's about, I want to learn about me. I got to learn from the world that I'm in. And I love the fact that you said whatever you do, if you walk into something negatively, well, then that's what the world's going to show up for you.
Right.
That's negative, Ned. I ain't never going to get no job. I ain't never going to have this. And I'm like, those type of people, like, get away from me. I always try to encourage them, like, but after a while, listen, now you're killing my vibes. You have to get away from those negative people. Yes, Six.
I just wanted to ask before we do get out of here, do you all have any, like, reading or books that you always suggest for people
Thank you,
who just kind of want to, you know,
how could I forget? How could I
What you got? What you got?
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Let me write that
That's
down.
like the very beginning for me. It just starts to train you how to start to think successfully. That's all. There's no hocus pocus, nothing.
Easy answer.
Right. It's just, you have to start with your thoughts.
You train that brain.
Are things. That's it. That's the hardest part of all this. Putting to rest all the things that we've picked up. See, your subconscious mind is like a video recorder that never
it's so impure almost,
right?
Because you're just retaining everything.
Right. Now, the conscious mind filters a lot of crap through that You understand?
That's like the liver.
Right. So, right.
Do you have a book that you'd like to recommend, Michelle?
It's a book that a lot of people in this country and around the world have been reading for years, and it's like 10 years on the bestseller list, is The Alchemist.
Love that book.
Alchemist.
I have to actually reread it.
And I do that a lot, too. I read it a lot.
I have to reread that book.
Because it talks about a person's experience and wanting to go for their dream and wanting to just keep moving forward. And it shows in it that things take time.
Gotcha.
They don't happen automatically.
Now, with the title, Alchemist. The alchemist is a person that mixes magic with science.
Gotcha.
So...
And they prove that it's the magic of the person.
You guys check it out. All of this information I'll post. I want to give a special shout out to Levant Bracey, a life coach and motivational speaker, and to Michelle Hurst, an actress best known for her role as Miss Claudette in Orange is the New Black, for chatting with us. Please give the listeners your, actually I'll post whatever I can because our time is about to get shut down. Dirty Blonde, I see you. I see you, Dirty Blonde. Don't forget, you can catch Roxanne Roxanne here and every Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m. Follow me on Twitter, Roxanne Rox1, Facebook, Roxanne Roxanne, IG, Roxanne Roxanne NYC. And for all inquiries, including advice, questions, and sponsorship, please email me at info@roxanneroxanne.rocks. Thank you guys for listening, and be well. Enjoy your Christmas, y'all. Love y'all. Be well. Be well.
DTF Radio, the online radio blueprint.
I hope that was what you wanted.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm getting texts.
Shout out to Azalea Banks. You've been doing your thing out there.
I can be the answer. I'm ready to dance when you give up. Then when I hit that dip, get your camera deep. See when that bitch shit's clever. In the beat that insist to be in. The bitch who wants you to be in. I can spit that pump with the beat in. You know what you bitch become with no beat in. I just wanna sit that punch with your beats in. Sitting that lunch with the beat in. Kick it with your bitch, you come from Parisian. She know what bitch I'm from in the season. Now she wanna lick my tongue in the evening. Let's get that tongue to deepen. I guess that cunt get anything. I guess that cunt get anything. I guess that cunt get anything.